Sorry, guys. Hi. Welcome to this live stream. I might edit out the very beginning. I'm not gonna lie. All right. Hi, my friends. I'm gonna wait and see who jumps on with me, and then we'll start chatting. Once you're on, say hello. I have all sorts of notes for today. Okay. Hi, guys. Hey, Jesse. So I have like my little handy dandy notebook that I use to make notes on like different prices and trends and hotkeys that I see right now. Hey. Hi, friends. It's hotter than Hades in Florida. But right here is where I have the best connection to my internet. So sacrifices must be made sometimes. All right. Hi, guys. Welcome to Saturday night. I hope you all are staying sane. Are you guys still mostly staying in? Are you going out? Are you back to normal? Are you still like me where I'm home all the time? Bored? Thank God for Instagram and social media. For real. All right. Let me turn my music off. All right. Happy day. So cheers first. Happy Saturday night. Let's chat about what's going on in our market, given we're in the middle of kind of multiple crazy pandemics, right? We have protests going on all over, which use your rights and speak up. We have coronavirus, COVID, however we want to call it, that's running rampant right now with a really weird economy where some people are working, some people aren't. And I personally was a little unsure back in March what was going to go on with the market. And I started selling stuff really at the beginning of March pretty heavily, trying to run auctions weekly on eBay with a lot of stuff and get some momentum going and try to get stuff out and get some cash in just to be prepared either to buy a bunch of stocks if the market went down or to pour it into comics, and to just have it, because what if people kind of slowed down on buying comics and games and weren't sure what their future was like? So how would they want to spend their dispensable income? Fast forward to today, and you think, oh, it is definitely, in my opinion, not a buyer's market right now. I think that we are in the middle of a very strong market. I don't think it's too strong. I think that it's healthy and where it should be. Like, okay, let's whip out my notebook and let's just dive into it. Like some of the notable sales that I had on like Amazing Fantasy 15, because if you've been following that market at all for a little while, you know that probably 9 months to a year ago, hey, thanks. One of the girls in my neighborhood made it for me. I have a couple more coming. I felt like I need some nerdy girl swag, right? So, hey girl. So back like 9 months, 12 months ago, the market was really in a kind of on Amazing Fantasy 15, kind of a downward trend where 5.0s were selling for like substantially less than they should at like 30,000, 35,000. And 4.0s were selling ridiculously cheap. And now we're finally starting to see Amazing Fantasy 15 kind of tick back up. 4.5, which this is for sure an outlier sale, but a 4.5 sold for 66,000. Now a 5.5 sold for 55,000, which is where it should be. Like a 5.5 should be 50 to 60, somewhere in there. But a 6.5 just sold a few weeks ago for 85,000. So for me, that shows that the market is not in a recession, and it's not in comics anyway, isn't in games. Wait until I dive into games. Some of those sales, guys, are mind-blowing. Like, I've been telling you guys for a hot minute to get into games. And I'm going to say it again at the end of this. If you have questions on getting into the gaming market, please reach out to me. And I'm happy to talk with you and give you some like reference points to look up prices, because I know that if you're new to gaming especially, there's not a lot of tools out there. Hi. So now let's talk about, so Amazing Fantasy 15 for sure has made a rebound and it's back where it should be. I think it's going to keep going up. So people always ask me if you could give me one point of advice when I'm coming into the market and I'm new and I have some money, what would you tell me to do? Don't go out and buy a bunch of books. Go out and buy the best book you can for what you're willing to spend. Like, there's no point in buying like a run of books when the key is what's going to, for the most part, and there's little mini keys and runs, but that there's always, hey, Ash, how are you, girl? Look, I shaved it. There's always that one book in a run that is going to be the most desirable and most valuable. Amazing Fantasy 15, Amazing Spider-Man 1, Fantastic Four 1. You always want to get the keys. So we talked Amazing Fantasy 15. If you can afford to get one, buy one. Now is the time to get an AF 15 because that market is going to keep going up. When people come new into the hobby, they're always going to want like the grail of the Silver Age. So if you can buy it, buy it. All right, let's talk X-Men 1, which is quickly heating up. And that book is on fire right now. Some of the sales I noted, I did some low grade sales and then I did a 7.0. Because a lot of times I've noticed as a seller that people are either under 5,000 on a price point or they're into the 5 figures. You kind of lose a little ground in that like 6,000 to 9,000 range for some reason. So a 2.5 sold recently on eBay for 4,400 plus tax. Like now we have to take that into account too, right? Unfortunately, a 1.8 sold for 3,600, and I have a couple. Oh, you know what, guys? Let me fast forward or rewind back. Hey, to Amazing Fantasy 15, because if you're not familiar with this book, here it is. So I tried to grab a few things to share this time. Last time I didn't, but I did grab a couple that we'd be talking about just for some visuals. So I have a 6.0 and I also have a 5.0. If you're looking for one, feel free to reach out to me. All right. So let's go back to X-Men 1. Up until, yeah, I would agree with that on 2 years ago. A 2.5, another 2.5 just sold for 4,500. A 3.0 just sold for 4,900 and a 7.0 sold for 21,000. And I think that's a super notable sale because that is a strong price. Normally they sell for like 15 to 17. So 21 is a very strong price. And I point that out because it's reassuring to me that even though there's this crazy pandemic going on right now, the comic market is still so strong and it's still a safe place to have your money, most importantly. I think Silver Age is really, really strong right now. I think the Golden Age keys will always hold their value, but I wouldn't go out and buy random issues unless you're buying a great classic cover. All right, so let's move on to Fantastic Four 1. I saw 3.0 sold for 9,000. That's a nice little price tag. I have another share. I have a 4.5. What is the best way? What do you mean? I don't know what that means. So this is a 4.5. This one's really nice because it has off-white white pages. So when I'm buying a Silver Age book especially, I'm super picky on page quality and Marvel chipping. You really want one that looks nice for the grade. The fortunate part with Silver Age keys especially is there's a lot of choices out there. So you can be picky, and sometimes I'll take a cream off-white book, but it looks super, super nice. They're very... What do you say to buyers looking to do the best they can? I would go back and I would say the same point that I said. Don't go buy a bunch of random books. Save your money and buy one good book. Like you can buy an X-Men 266. That's not a 5-figure book. You can buy a nice one for $500 or $300 for like a 9.4, I think. Like always find the key of whatever era, decade you're collecting and save that, because that's what's going to be what holds its value. X-Men 266 is a great example. Spidey 300 is another great example of books that if you, instead of going out and buying like all this random miscellaneous stuff, I'm not good at that, Ashley. I told you that. I suck at organization. That's not my strong suit. I need an assistant. But yeah, like buy what you can afford and save up if that means not going and buying random books for a few weeks so you can buy a really nice book. Do it, because long term it's going to pay off for you more. Would you agree, buy quality? And when you buy quality, you won't find huge deals. Yeah, of course. I'll always choose quality over quantity first. And if it means paying market, or on some books like Golden Age Keys, like Detective 27, Action Comics 1, they come around so infrequently that sometimes you need to be willing to pay a little over market just so you can have it, because there aren't that many examples out there for you to choose from. So it's like you kind of have to get what you can get and not throw a fit, is what I tell my daughter. Hi from Florida. So let me move into a Golden Age book now. I saw an Action Comics 2, an Extensive 2.0 sold for $12.8. I think that's a pretty nice price tag for a restored book in low grade, and it didn't present that nicely. So I think that's a great example of a Golden Age book. My favorite, or one of my favorite books from the Golden Age, is Black Cat 50. And one of the auction houses sold an 8.5 for $20,000. Guys, like 5 years ago, you could have that book for a few grand, literally. I sold a 9.0 Black Cat 50 and Tomb of Terror for, I think, $12,000. They were both 9.0 or 9.2 for the pair. It was an 8.5. If you're not familiar with that cover, I brought one out so you can see it. I might have to go inside. It's getting very hot out here. So I have a 7.5 here. This is such a great classic cover. Like, his face is melting off, guys. Like, his face is legit melting. It's what my face is going to do soon. And then, so Batman 1, we can talk about. I mean, it's in the top 4 Golden Age grails, right? Batman 1 is, you have Tech 27, Action 1, Soup 1, and Bat 1. Then I think Marvel 1 and Cap 1, and so on and so forth. But a couple of Batman ones have sold recently. They had an Extensive 7.5 sell for $70,000. That's a super strong price tag for that book. I mean, it just shows that restored books are still sought after and desirable when that's all you can get. It goes back to what's available. Since I'm a beginner in comics, what is the best way to get started? Watch the beginning of the video, Ashley. You want to learn some price point tools. Heritage Archives are a great reference. eBay sold items are a great reference. GP Analysis is a subscription service that you can pay for that tracks sales across multiple sites and pulls that data together for you to look up a grade individually to see what they're selling for. Super resourceful. And then an unrestored Batman 1 sold, a 1.5 sold for $78,000. So I think those are nice prices. And then Batman 1, this is the last book I have to share today, guys. So, no thank you. He's so loud sometimes. So I think the other couple sales I noticed, and guys, please feel free to chime in because I hate feeling like I talk to myself. And I like doing these so that we can engage. So the other notable sales I pulled were a Hulk 140 for $14,000. I thought that was a pretty solid price for that book and that grade. And another book that never gets the love. I do love talking. You're right. A Hulk 140 for 14,000. I think Hulk 1 in general is still an undervalued book for what it is. Like, he's one of the primary characters of the Silver Age, and Hulk 1 and Tales of Suspense 39 never get the love that they deserve. Like, Iron Man for me is second to Cap. I mean, come on. So Hulk 140 sold for 14,000, and then I saw a Tales of Suspense 3980 sell for 40,000. So that's all I have in terms of books. Next, we'll talk about games, but let's do a little Q&A before we merge into games, because then it gets so much more real, because the video game market is on fire. Legit. I don't think I'll ever get how casually. Listen, I've been around them for so long that I'm not always probably as careful as I should be. I think that people would lose their minds if they saw how I handle raw books sometimes. I am not that careful as I should be. Should I get my Daring Mystery one blue? Always go blue when you can. Unless if you restore it or conserve it, it looks a lot nicer. Then maybe someone will choose eye appeal, but people want unrestored books primarily. So whenever you can choose to have it unrestored, I would keep it that way. Especially if it already is, I wouldn't go mess with it and pay to do something else. Like, you always want an unrestored book first. Now, if you pick up a conserved book cheap and it looks really nice, and if you take off the conservation, it's going to look shitty, then no, keep it conserved, because eye appeal matters, right? Like, grade matters, eye appeal matters, and page quality matters. The next person. I agree with you, Bunky. That's sound advice. Nerdy girl approved. Since I'm a beginner. I think when you, Ashley, let me go back to organizing comics now that I'm like processing it all. I keep my most favorite games that I want to display on a shelf in my office. My comic books I keep in short boxes in order. And then my other games I keep put away separately for stuff I want to sell. So I have it separate from my keep stuff. For me, it's really hard sometimes to decide if something is keep or sell. So sometimes it'll start out as keep or it'll start out as sell, and it'll switch over. He's being so loud and naughty today. Toby, do you want an ice? I'm so naughty today. Seriously, guys, I love my cup though. You want an icy? Yeah, he does love ice, so maybe he'll be quiet. Comics, we go A to Z. We don't. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I keep everything together. A to Z. I also don't separate by what era it's from, because when someone comes, especially for me, because like I'll just bring these boxes to shows. And when someone, I know some people like putting their Golden Age and Silver Age separate. I've tried that before, but I think people like when everything is just A to Z, because they can look at a wall and they're looking for a title, and you either have it or you don't. You either have that issue number or they don't, and they don't need to look through a bunch of different shelves. Unless I'm trying to be a little tricky to make you look at stuff maybe you wouldn't. Then maybe I'll do it once in a while. All right, give me more questions before we move on. I want to tell my daughter to let him in. You shut up. It's my favorite thing to tell them at shows is shut up. They always talk so much. All right, hit me with the next question. And then I have a whole page for video games. And stay on. Even if you're in comics, you might learn some new stuff this week on video games that might make you want to say, Danielle, nerdy girl, help me out. Help me learn all the things, because I'm ready to have the questions about not being an elite collector. What do you mean? Are you going to answer that question? Are you answering my questions in the comments? Would you suck up on one issue? No, I'll never suck up on one issue. Yeah, I'll always bite. multiple Hulk 181s if I can. Do you hear him? Toby! If you're not a dealer and you're just a collector, then I would buy one of each. Get a 181, get a Giant Size X-Men 1, get a Spidey 129, get an FF 48, 49, 50, 52. Like, collect all those issues and buy them in the grade you can. I do tell it doesn't take much. Oh, that's sad. Can you please? If no one comes and lets him in a second, I'll go let him in because he's being so much right now. Or maybe well, after I do games, we'll move him inside and then we can chat some more. All right, give me a couple more questions. Do you keep a list of books? I use Google spreadsheets actually because I can access it from everywhere. I think it's more resourceful than Excel because I can use it on my phone. I don't know. I don't have Excel downloaded and everything, and I like being able to just do one thing. Can you come here? Toby, come. You're so naughty. Okay, so let's dive into video games. I might go inside. Actually, let's move inside because it's hotter than Hades out here. I'm going to put you in my kitchen and then grab the rest of my stuff. And then we'll dive into the wonderful world of gaming without getting, okay, too glitchy. Let me turn the light on, grab my other stuff, and then I'll be right back. You're not. Okay. Yeah. That are on the floor out there. I don't want to spoil all my stuff I have too early. Which Zelda? Trying not to ruin any spoilers. Okay, I'm back. Now we're in my kitchen. Hey, girl. Okay, which Zelda are you referring to? No, I did not. Such a mess on my table. Okay, is my quality still okay? Was it better before? I feel like it was a little better before. Okay, let's chat some video games. Yeah? Shall we? So, about a year ago, this is the beauty of a live stream. All right, here we go. So, about a year ago, I chatted with someone from Kotaku. So much better, right? The beauties of live when you need to improvise. Holy moly. About a year ago, I did an interview for Kotaku magazine, which is a video game magazine. I didn't realize at the time how many people read it or subscribed to their site. I learned when the article came out when some of my friends in different collecting arenas were messaging me saying, oh, I just read your article. And this is when video games were still not where they are today. And like some of the prices that were being paid for stuff were still a little shocking and mind-blowing. So let's talk about this because in the beginning, when I did this interview, I was hunting for every single Mike Tyson Punch-Out I could find. Like they were selling for like $1,500 to $7,500, and people actually gave me shit after the article came out because I said that Mike Tyson's Punch-Out was going to be one of the biggest games. I wanted all the copies I could find. They thought I was crazy for buying multiples. They thought the prices I was throwing out were insane. And I just caught a lot of flack from like the video game community for that. And I talked about Super Mario Brothers Left Row, Super Mario 3 Left Row. And I got a little flack for that also. But the Punch-Out was literally selling for $1,500 to $7,500 consistently and regularly. Now, holy crap, that game sells for crazy money. There's one on eBay right now that's a 9.4 that's already at, I think, like 15,000. They've consistently sold at 30,000 plus in multiple auctions. So it just goes to show that this is what this market has done in a year on that game. Like, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I mean, first of all, how do you not know Mike Tyson's Punch-Out? Let's be real. It's one of the most iconic games of all time. And supposedly, there's maybe one sealed first print. Did you know that Bandbox will be giving something? What do you mean, Funko? Can you elaborate for us? Let me turn my screen up. There we go. Now I see why my screen was turned down. But truly, like that game has exploded, and even as more copies come onto the market, they're consistently selling for well into the 15 plus thousand and going up from there. And there's different versions, right? Oh, I wonder what it is. Are they doing like a re-release like they did with Final Fantasy VII? I wonder if it's something like that, but for Punch-Out. That would be really cool. The grader of Wada has one of the old school gloves. And I remember we were playing with the power glove to play Punch-Out one of the times that we went over to his house because he has like, right, you remember the power glove? So fun. Talk about nostalgia. So that's why I like video games. I didn't grow up reading comic books, but I grew up playing video games. I spent countless hours playing Super Mario 3, Sonic the Hedgehog 1, Super Mario 1. Super Mario 2 kind of sucked, but it's got a great cover, right? I like the cover on it and the colors. Zelda is another one that hours and hours and hours. Oh, poster. Oh, I see now. I don't collect a lot of posters, but that's cool. So, all right. So some of the notable sales that I've seen in video games, and they keep going up. Like, it's not like that market is getting soft. I think in the beginning when I was talking, especially to some of my comic book friends, they're like, I just don't believe in this market. And what's going to happen? And I told some of my good friends in comics, like, get into games. I'm telling you, even if you didn't like them, buy them just so you have some, because I'm telling you, it's going to explode, right? And even some guys on here, I'm sure I've had conversations with them where I'm like, listen, buy it. Make sure you have a Super Mario Brothers. Make sure you have a Zelda one. If you can get your hands on a sealed Sonic one, get one. There are so fewer Sonic ones, in my opinion, that I've seen come to market than Zelda, than Mario. Hey, Sal. Punch-Out. There have been a few Punch-Outs come to market, but they've all sold really strong. Do you have a book you would never sell? Yeah, My Journey 8390. That's like my book. It's not that easy to find in high grade. Hey, it looks really nice for the grade. It should be a 9.2. One day I'll argue it again. But yeah, My Journey 8390, hands down. That's my favorite book. So some of the notable sales I've seen in games, and the good thing about Weta is there's a lot of crossover on their grading scale to comic books. They did it, I think, intentionally so that people in other collecting hobbies could resonate with that scale. So a Metroid, a 9.6 A+ graded, sold for $18,000. A Mario Kart 9.0 with an A+ seal, and I'll pause after this one, sold for $6,000. So they grade games based on the overall game, but then they also grade the seal. So sometimes you can have a seal that's like got a giant hole in it, but the box itself still looks really nice. So the thing they did differently than the other grading company is they separated the seal and gave it its own individual grade. And then they grade the box on its own merits. So it's nice because you're not being penalized for a seal, but it's made me, especially these last few months, become a lot pickier on seal rating. Typically, I'll look for an A seal or above. However, there are certain games where you don't have the ability, like comic books, you don't have the ability to be picky on the seal rating. You kind of have to get what you can get. And then you kind of needed to take what you could get and then upgrade down the road when another one comes to market. Just because in some of these games, there are so few. So another sale, I did the Mario Kart, which, I got down on some Mario Kart. That was one of my favorite games when I was younger. A 9.0 A+ sold for $12,000. Like, what? So this is one where it actually went backwards. Because not everything can keep going up, right? I don't live in like a false sense of reality. Some things go up because the first one sells really crazy, and then you eliminate some buyers similar to comics, and you don't have the same competition to get it. So maybe the next one sells a little lower. So Donkey Kong 3, a 9.2 sold for $28,000 back in May of last year, but a 9.6 just sold in March for $16,000. So that one took a pretty big step backwards, and I think it's because when that Donkey Kong 3 first went to auction, there was a lot of hype and excitement about black box games, and people were paying these really high prices to get them. And I think a lot of that excitement wore off when people realized that, yeah, there's a group of people who are going to go out and collect all the black boxes, but most people aren't. Most people don't want all of the black boxes. They want to go out and get the pop culture stuff, the Super Mario, the Legend of Zelda, the Mega Man, the Metroids, the Contras, the Punch-Outs, the Zeldas. If I said those already, I don't remember. But they want to go get the Sonics, all of the stuff that are the big franchises, because honestly, that's what's going to keep growing with you anyways, right? So I think that's why that one went backwards, because people realized, well, it's cool because it's Donkey Kong 3, but how many people are really targeting for that? Meanwhile, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let's talk about that. A Super Nintendo tournament fighter, 9.4, sold for over $9,000. Like, what? That game is so rare, though. Let me first say that. That was for the Super Nintendo, and then a Nintendo version of it sold raw on eBay. I chased it to $5,000, and then I dropped out. It sold for $7,400, and it was maybe a 7.0, but it's one of the first ones, I think, that has come to market, and everyone is trying to get these games now. Like, there's so few copies, and there's so many people that want them that I think that that's what's going to continue happening for a little while, or fingers crossed, a few more come to market so that a few more of us can have a copy for our collections, because we all need them after all. So let me see what else I have here. All right. This next one that I wanted to talk about is one that I'm sure if you're on Instagram, you've noticed it. but the Spider-Man for Atari, or even Facebook's them. So the first time a 9.8 copy of this came to market, and this is a great cover, right? It's got Green Goblin, it's got Spider-Man, it's one of his first appearances, it's Atari. Like, great cover art. I can't even argue that. But there are copies out there that you can have. And the first time one went to auction, everyone was so surprised. It sold for $9,000. Now everyone rushed to submit theirs and get theirs graded, and we're walking through the Atari Spider-Mans so we can hurry up and get them to auction, because everyone is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this game just sold for that much. And now a few more have come, and it's kind of settled in like that 3,000 to 4,000 range for 9.8s, which is reasonable. It's an iconic game. It's Spider-Man, which is going to resonate across the comic book community. Yeah. So cool, right? They're numbered. They only made so many. It's great, right? So there's always going to be a demand for that game, in my opinion. I think people are always going to want it. So high grade, yeah, it's going to sell for a few $1,000s. It happens in comic books too. Like, how many Hulk 181 9.8s are there? There's quite a few. They consistently still sell for $30,000+. Similar with Spider-Man for Atari. Like, people are always going to want that game. So there's always going to be a buyer pool and a market for it. 3,000 to 4,000 is probably where it should have settled. So I think that we'll continue to see prices in that range for the foreseeable future. If you pick one up for like $2,500 or $2,000, great, hold on to it. So I had those ones. Super Mario Brothers 2 that we talked a little bit about. A 9.2 sold a first print, because don't forget, in video games, there's different versions. A first version, Super Mario 2, has a black seal in the bottom right corner, and it's a circle, versus a later version of it that got released down the road has a white oval. So that's the best way to tell the difference. It's the only way you can tell the difference, really. All the art is the same. They just changed the seal. Hang on. Let me do something with him. Go lay down now. Go. Go. Go to bed. Lay down. Get a dog, they said. It'll be fun, they said. It is pretty cool, right? So Super Mario 2 9.2 sold for $7,800. I think that's a pretty strong price. And all of these sales are just reiterating the fact that even though we're in a very, very, very uncertain time right now, the collectibles market is still so strong. It's not slowing down. If anything, it's just rising. So when you're looking for places to put your money, put them into comic books, put it into video games. So I have a couple more sales that I want to talk about, because these sales broke the video game Facebook groups. People could not believe what these two games sold for. And, you know, they were a little bit aggressive and they were a little high, but they're so iconic for Nintendo. So a Zelda 194 sold for $33,600. And how can you not know what Zelda is? Like, hi. If you don't know what Zelda is, I have to ask what rock you were living under in the 80s and 90s. Because, like, it's Zelda. Like, even if you didn't play it, you still saw it at some point, right? Because, like, even if you weren't playing Nintendo, your kids probably were. I mean, it's very rare that you don't fall into one of those categories where either you were interested in video games or your kids were interested in video games. And then the other crazy sale, and this one was like, holy freaking crap, I can't believe that just happened. Zelda 2 in 9.6 sold for $38,000. Now, they had a sale after that, and it was, no. This is the next signature now, so let's see what happens. Yeah, like, Zelda is one of the biggest franchises in Nintendo history. It goes, like, parallel with Mario. I mean, so those are my big sales. Now let's talk. Spill the tea. What are you thinking? Give me your feedback. What are your questions? My point is, in all of this, that the collectibles market is stronger than ever. And people that have dispensable income, they're not going on vacations because they can't. Where are they going to go? They're not going out to eat as much because they can't, or they're not comfortable like me. They're not ordering in as much because it's still out there and you still have to worry about someone touching your food you're eating. So they're looking for other places to put their money, and they're putting it into collectibles because it's always been a strong market, and it's always been, I want to choose my words carefully, but it's always been relatively safe if you buy the right stuff. Like, don't go out and buy a 99 Spider-Man 72. That's ridiculous. But go out and buy a Spidey one. Go out and buy an Amazing Fantasy 15. Buy a Zelda one or a Super Mario one. Like, those are all great choices and investments that are going to hold up over time. I'm so happy you learned some about games. That's my goal, is to help educate and build a community where we're sharing information and we're helping each other grow our collections, right? Because at the end of the day, if there's not a community, what is there? Can you show the seal marking, the edition? Yeah. All right. So see on this Zelda, there's a silver circle here. That means it's a first print. A later version of this would have, this white oval. Some games only came with oval. Like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that was only an oval seal. But Super Mario, Legend of Zelda, they all had circle seals first and then an oval later. Oh, it's so sad you tossed the boxes, because even super, super nice, high grade, complete in boxes, those have value too. My hair is bothering me, guys. And it's if you can't afford a sealed copy, don't go buy a 5.0 complete in box, but buy a 9.0 complete in box. Because I think 9.0 and above complete in box will have its own place in the market as the market continues to grow, where sealed copies dry up because there's only so many, let's be real. People will turn to wanting a high grade complete in box. So I think that if you can't afford a sealed, for sure buy a complete in box, but make sure you're being picky about the grade you buy, because there are choices out there, but there are not a lot of super high grade copies because people played these games. A lot of people weren't super careful when they were putting them away or taking them out. They were careless. I mean, we were kids, right? Let's be real. So very few people took the time to realize, you know what? I think one day this is going to be worth something. All right, hit me with some more questions. I know I can be long-winded. It's my favorite thing to do, guys. I miss conventions so much because I love to engage and talk to people and get to know people. So this is my, I don't know, runner-up choice, I guess we can say. My table is full of comic books, guys. Literally full. Hit me. Not literally, but with your questions. You guys are so quiet today. I wish I would have known when I was a kid. I mean, isn't that what builds markets, though? The fact that we didn't have the foresight? Because if everyone had the foresight to save all their stuff, there wouldn't be a market for sealed, and there wouldn't be a market for high grade copies because they'd be readily available. So I think the fact that people didn't save their stuff for the most part is what helps create these growing markets. Well, games without boxes. No, if you just have a cartridge only or a cartridge and a manual, it will not have anywhere near the same value. A lot of times they're not worth very much unless you have a super rare, like an NWC cartridge, like Nintendo World Championship. If you have one of those, please message me if you have an NWC cart. I would love to buy it. Same thing if you have a sealed Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. I want to buy it. Please sell it to me. Okay, thanks. Where are you from? I grew up in Western New York, but I live down in Florida now. I always never know what to say during like a lull. I'm always like, what should I talk about? And twiddle my thumbs while I wait for questions. Now that I've done like all my data points. What has everyone picked up lately? I love this question because I like seeing what people are buying. Food. You bought food? That's fun. Someone asked if I cheer. The one I tagged in, that's better. Did you know that Bambox will be giving something? I'm making sure I didn't miss any of your comments. My brother has. Yeah, I have an OG Nintendo system too. And then I also have the classic. And that's what I play on my TV at home is the classic. Whenever I'm like super stressed out, I'm like, I'm just going to go play some Super Mario Brothers 3 and zone out for a little while. Spawn is cool. Spawn 1 is such a great cover. What about old Nintendo consoles? I don't know about that, Marcos, but I'm happy to look into that for you. Yay! They're coming soon, I promise. I had to like deal with sales tax this week, so it kind of set me back a little, but I promise they're coming. Grabbing some nice graded. Those are some great covers in the DC Giants. Super underappreciated in my opinion. It's so lame, but at least they did the crossword puzzle inside and it doesn't affect the outside of the book. Okay, so someone told me about, hey, Shane, are you down in the Sunshine State finally? The classic has a slot. Okay, so someone talked to me about like jailbreaking, right, is what you do on the classic. I still haven't done it, but I really should. I know. I'm not very tech savvy. It's why I don't really have a website. Oh, like the Golden Age or the Silver Age, the Mariner one? I just sold a 9-2 a couple months ago. Too bad. Is it a sealed game or is it a complete in box game first? Because they have two different pricing structures. The Silver Age one. I just sold one of those a couple months ago. Well, maybe it was longer because it was pre-COVID. You guys know we're going to have like two time periods now, right? We have pre-COVID and post-COVID and living in COVID, which sucks. But it's okay. This too shall pass. A sealed game. So they are, I believe, 35, and I think it's like a 6-month turnaround time. They have a $50 option that turns it around in 30 business days. And then they also have a 15-day, a 5-day, and a 1-day. What, in your opinion, is the best game to have not sealed? A white bullets. So on the punch out, there's these red bullets on this one, but the first print has white bullets instead of the orange. And I think a white bullets punch out or a first print Zelda or a like a nice sticker Super Mario Brothers are all really great choices of games to have not sealed because they're also nearly impossible to find. Which prices? Sorry. On Submariner, I see. Yeah, hopefully by July we'll have a little sense of normalcy back in our lives. My neighbor down the street really hooked my cup up. She has a little Facebook group. If anyone wants info on it, let me know. I'll share it with you. All right. let's do like 10 more minutes and then I'll jump off. And what kind of content do you guys want to see on my page? I guess is a good question for you. Next week, I have something fun. I'm doing my first interview and it's about video games. So if you're interested, Shane, I'm still very nervous to go to a brewery. I am still home 95% of the time. I leave if I need to drop off packages, and I go to parks, and that's it. Other than that, I'm home all the time. How's your daughter and your dog and cat? My daughter is sassy still. If you didn't hear my dog having his temper tantrum before I had to tell him, go to bed before I kick your butt, that happened. And then the cats are just, let's be real, cats are assholes. I will have another mystery box soon. So I'm finishing up my $500 boxes. And then my plan for my next round is going to be, I'm going to build all the boxes ahead of time. And so I know how many I have, so I can just ship them out. I think it'll be easier for me and you. My next, I have a really nice 3.5 right now, Sean. X-Men 1 with white pages. It's a beautiful copy. How hard is it to find original Game Boy? Sealed or complete in box? It's easier to find a lot of these games complete in box because like people weren't always super generous with them, but they are out there. Like some people did keep them nice, but finding a complete in box is much easier than finding a sealed copy. What would you guess a sealed copy? Oh man. Well, the Atari ET doesn't sell for a ton. It sells for like a few hundred to a couple thousand. But there is the landfill copies, and those sell for a ton of money. And if you know of a landfill copy, please let me know. I need one. Send me a message if you know where one of the landfill copies is, because those are super rare and hard to find. Sounds like my cat. I mean, aren't all cats like that anyways, like just by nature? I live about 45 minutes from Tampa, and it's a little crazy down here. Like I get my groceries delivered. I take my dog on walks at parks. I don't even walk in my neighborhood. I've come to the conclusion that, and the realization that I see far fewer people when I go on a trail than I do walking my neighborhood. What's the worst part of putting together a mystery box? Honestly, sorting the books and deciding what books should go in mystery boxes and like making sure that people will be happy with them, right? Because I think that the beauty of my boxes is that people like that I work really hard to try to make sure you get the value of what you're paying, right? Because why would I want to sell you a box that doesn't give you back your money? One, you're going to be disappointed and you're not going to buy from me again. Two, I would hate if that happened to me. My daughter has bought mystery boxes at shows before, and I've been so against it. And I'm like, okay, like if this is really what you want, I'll give it to you. And we open it up and it's like a bunch of junk. And so I work really, really hard to make sure that I don't do that, that you at least get the value out. And then you guys know I love to drop some She-Hulk ones. It's like become my little signature move, including a She-Hulk one and a few boxes. I was very jealous. What do you mean by landfill? Yeah, it's like Funko said. So back in the 80s, they dumped and buried thousands of copies of E.T. for the Atari, and a few made it out of the landfill, like people dug them up or kept them. I don't know, but I've heard they smell awful because they were in a landfill. And it's super hard to find. They're super rare. There might be a lot of ETs, but there are not a lot of landfill copies. Check out Arctic Press Comics called. That's funny. I would love to find an Atari ET landfill copy too. Have you thought of doing cure? Like people give you titles. No, because that just becomes too stressful and too boutique. And we're not a huge company. There's 2 of us that are doing this work. So it would be very time prohibitive and stressful to do super, super boutique curated boxes. I will do based on dollar value, and I'll try to include certain genres, but to go solely superhero or title, that's a lot harder. And I would never want someone to be disappointed. Thanks so much, Cameron. Appreciate the kind words. When you started out selling books, what was your preference? eBay. So the CGC boards, which is like comic chat boards, used to be a great, great, great resource for selling books. It's kind of changed a little over the years, and people have found other venues. People do shows more. There's social media. There's a ton of Facebook groups now. There's Instagram. I know some people use Mercari. I haven't gotten on that yet. Thanks, Marcos. Appreciate you. But I think eBay is still super, super good. I mean, their fees have gotten pretty crazy and out of control, but I've been getting some pretty solid prices on eBay lately. So I'm still using eBay. I use Instagram as my first preference just because I get to sell to people that I get to engage with. And I started doing this thing where if I sell a book, I take a selfie with it and then I mail it to you. And if you send me a selfie with the same book, I can mash it up and I can shout you out. Because one of the things that I love doing at shows is snapping a selfie when we do a deal, and I get to tag people and shout them out and share a sale. And that's kind of been taken away from me since we don't do shows anymore. Hopefully in a year. I know it's in the works. I promise. What's your opinion? I don't really have an opinion on that one, Frank, if I'm being honest. Hey, Mr. Breaker, I am good. How are you? I love me some. That's a nice grade, John, the 9.6. I loved my first. Okay, yay. I'm so happy that you... If I do shirts, I'm going to start out super basic. I ripped out the page in my book. I don't know where I put it now, but I started doodling some shirt sayings, and I was actually just looking at it today. So the fact, Amy, that you're bringing it up means it's a sign from the universe that I need to get on my shit and figure out some t-shirts. I don't know how many colors I will do my first round or what colors I even should do. What color shirt would you wear? I know Kevin said blue. If you bought a shirt from me, and what's the price point? So I know when I'm sourcing people out, because I can't make them myself. I don't have a Cricut. If I did, that would make life so much easier. Get it done. I want purple. I know. Should I do I Heart Nerdy Girl Comics? How do you determine what is mystery box worthy? I need a con in my life too. We look up every single book. I know that should be Nerdy Girl Says Shut Up. I should, right? That would be a funny shirt. Nerdy Girl Says, and then do the thought bubble and have shut up in the word bubble. Thank you for your response. Thanks so much. I appreciate you, Azores. How do you say it? Azores? Azores? So we literally look up every single book to make sure it's worthy. And don't get me wrong, my boxes do have some little bit of modern, but I try not to load them down. I think I sent out a few that had sets of Infinity Abyss or Infinity, what's the other one? Infinity Gauntlet, maybe. I try to give a good assortment on, guys. I love that you're all dropping your shirt sizes and color choices. I appreciate you all. Okay. I promise I will get in the works of making some shirts. Deal? Deal. Hopefully hit the hour mark. All right, let's keep going. I like when they rapid fire, question after question after question. And if you haven't said hi yet, say hi. I know you're all giving me a big head. So true. I love this. Okay, so I will work really hard this week to work on getting shirts done. And maybe I'll do like a pre-order so I know what I'm ordering. And I'll reach out to one of my girlfriends to make my first batch for me, just to like test the waters a little bit. Thanks, Sal. How are you? So I used to go on I've gone on a couple of different channels on YouTube, and everyone pushed me for forever to start my own channel. And I had such anxiety over this. And guys, to be honest, like even right before I jump on a live, I'm like, what if I can't get my words out? What if no one jumps on? What if just all these what ifs? And I really get in my head. And so I appreciate you guys engaging with me because like it helps me relax a little and cool off. Shane, I have another set. Shoot me a message on Instagram. What is the comic that sells? Journey and Mystery 83. People know that I love Journey and Mystery 83. So I sell that really fast. Yeah, I think that's my best book. And I think I sell that better than probably anyone else just because I think people know that I love it so much that they get excited about it too. Your Facebook shop. I don't have mystery boxes on eBay. I don't ever post them there. You rock. Thanks, girl. You guys make my heart so full. On eBay, I list no reserves and buy it nows. But I only do mystery box drops. Mystery box drops. Then you shout me out too. I only do drops on my Instagram page, and no one really knows when I do it. And I got a little backed up this week because of other work stuff. So I'll have new mystery boxes soon. I promise. I'm working hard-ish. Life is hard right now, guys. It is stressful. The struggle is real. Like we're home all the time, but it's like I really have all these things I have to do and all these projects I have to do, but I did that yesterday and I did that the day before. And how many days in a row can I keep doing the same thing without having some sense of normalcy? So today I found out that if I get out for even like a half hour to go walk on a trail with my pup, it gives an extra bit of energy and encourages me to come home and bang out a few things. So maybe I just need to work that in my routine more. Hardish. We see all those pics by the pool. I'm not going to lie. I'd much rather be quarantined in Florida than back in New York. Even with all of our cases rising, you cannot beat the weather down here. And that view, I love my backyard. So my boy comic book Sal, I see how he dropped his comment there, is trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. And thanks Cameron for staying on and chatting with me. Have a great night. I hope Luke is well. I miss 2 years old. He's doing a giveaway. So if you want to go subscribe to another channel, go subscribe to him. And then when he does his live next time, he's going to say, guys, go subscribe to Nerdy Girl Comics because she is the shit. I'm just kidding. But no, really. Let's see. That's why I don't do video. You know what? I feel like I've come to the conclusion that even if you say the wrong thing, it's like, whatever. Maybe I said that and I shouldn't have, but it's already out in the universe. It is what it is now. Oh, Bunky's back. He's probably like, oh, she's still on. Yay. You get a double dose of nerdy girl today. You miss girl, no, I'm way past that. I don't do babies. I don't even like little children. I just like 2 years old because they don't talk back. You're right. I never say the wrong thing. I'm always right. One of these days, I'm going to get your mystery boxes. I know. So my new plan, I don't know if you heard me, but I said I'm going to pre-build my boxes this next round so that I can just ready ship them. They're going to be ready to go. I'll have a price tag on them, and we're just going to fire them out. I'm going to print the invoices, and we're out the door. All right. So this has been a blast. I appreciate you guys spending some of your Saturday night with me again. Share my page and my video if you want to. Invite your friends to subscribe. I'll be back next Saturday night with a special guest, my first one. Hello. And if you have any questions, always feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram. I'm sorry, my box gets really full sometimes, so I'm sorry if I'm not always very prompt about responding. I promise I'm working on it, and I will have some t-shirts soon for you guys. Ah! All right. Funky, shoot me a message if you want to do a live with me. All right. I will chat with you guys later. I hope you guys have a great night and stay healthy. Bye.